Picking your show. So first thing you want to do is want to make sure the message to market match. Again, this is probably a little bit of review for some of you because you've already picked your shows, but some people might need to know this. So you want to make sure that your customers are actually going to be at the show, right? Prospects. Now, I just said prospects. I got to time out for a second. Prospects to me, and I don't know if it's to you, does it feel kind of like would you like to be called a prospect? No, right? Doesn't it feel like you're a number when you refer to a prospect? And I might say prospects in here, but I would encourage you, if you are an exhibit manager or you're head of your marketing, that your booth staff try to learn the term, potential clients or potential partners. Doesn't that sound warmer? Doesn't that sound nicer, right? Prospects just kind of sounds like, and it is a numbers game. Marketing is a numbers game, right? But if we just kind of adjust a little transformational language, it has a better feeling to it, and I think it has, just like clients versus customers, right? Customers is defined in Webster's dictionary as a person who buys a commodity or service, okay? Where a client is defined as someone who is under the care or protection of another, okay? Big difference. So you want to have clients as opposed to customers. And clients kind of has that sort of continuity thing to it, people buying again and again, and you're looking after them. So just something I want to mention. Talk with show management, that's another thing you want to do. Find out a little bit more about that show, but you have to be careful because show management is in the business of what? Selling, exactly, selling spaces. So sometimes I feel like they inflate their numbers a little bit, especially if they've had a down year. It's very hard if they're advertising smaller and smaller numbers of attendees. It's hard to kind of recover from that. So I don't blame them, but you got to keep that in mind. So you may want to talk with past exhibitors. That's probably a little bit more of an objective approach. If you're going to try a new show, talk to someone who's already been there. They'll tell you how busy it was, how much traffic, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a thought. And then you got to figure out if it's a vertical or horizontal show. And what I mean by that, if you don't know what I'm saying, horizontal show, we could say a computer show, right? And in that computer show, you'd have storage, you'd have virtualization, you'd have software, you'd have all these things that IT professionals would go to, as opposed to a vertical show, which is long and deep and narrow, and that would be all about storage or all about virtualization. So if you're going to a vertical show and that's your niche, of course, more of the attendees are going to be qualified. Trade shows, I believe, are basically a whole bunch of different filters, right? If you have a public show, for example, like Ag Days in Brandon or some sort of home show or something like that, everyone's coming to it, right? There's no real filter. Anyone can be there, so a lot of the people might be unqualified for you to deal with. But if it's a trade show and it's closed, well, now only those people in that profession are coming or that association are coming, right? And then, of course, with a narrow vertical show, that's even more narrow, and then your booth acts as a bit of a filtration process too, because they're going to stop with the ones that they're actually interested in. All right, calculate your potential audience AIF and PIF, audience interest factor and product interest factor. Has anyone ever heard of that? Raise your hand if you, no? It's a weird thing. I have this in your assets, so that link, there's a calculation that you can use. The audience interest factor is weird, but it's based on the idea that people will stop out of 2 out of 10 booths that they see, okay? I don't know why 2, but that's what they use. And then there's the factor that you can use from show management they can give you. It's either, whether it's a vertical or a horizontal show, it'll give you a gauge of the real audience, okay? So let's say there's 10,000 people, 10,000 attendees at a show. Well, you're not gonna expect 10,000 leads, right? Because of the fact that it's just probably not possible that they're all gonna stop there and they're not gonna be qualified. So then it's gonna kind of break that down, and then you go, okay, out of that 10,000, maybe 900 could be leads, and you can actually calculate that audience and then ask yourself, am I gonna get a return out of that if that's the case?